Okay. Hey guys, I am Christy Froge, and thank you so much for coming on the call and hanging out with me. I just want to start out by telling you a little bit about how I even got here and how I became a Beachbody coach, which is going to lead me to the point of this call and kind of what I want to leave you guys with of 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 this concept of building your business off of giving more than getting, and and uh, And so I started out in November was my first challenge group of 2014. And actually Gary formed me. The whole started making small talk and sending me messages. And I was like, I used to work with Gary at the space station program back in like 1999, 2000. And out of the blue, I'm like friends with Gary on Facebook, and he starts sending me little messages asking about my life and my family. And like, why is he messaging me? And it was a little strange. And I like to pick on him and joke on him about that. But he messaged me at a time that I had really been the Lord had started to work in my life to really free me from a lot of depression and self-hate and negativity and insecurity and issues with my body image and a highly dysfunctional relationship with food that had been going on for about 3 years. And he had seen me posting some things on Facebook about being active and trying to do 30 minutes of activity. And so he invited me to a challenge group. And I knew about Beachbody stuff from my in-laws. They had done the 21 Day Fix. They had done Insanity and P90X. They actually gave me a copy of the 21 Day Fix DVDs. And so when Gary was messaging me about my first challenge group, I was like, sure, I have the DVDs. I'll just use those. I didn't have the color coded cups. I didn't have Shakeology, but I had the DVDs. And they suggested that him and Christine, he's like, well, let me talk to my wife. And so they strongly encouraged me to get the cups, and we're explaining how important that was to the program. And that I don't remember how exactly the conversation went down, but how they had really wanted me to try Shakeology and explain to me what it was. And so I talked to my husband and I said, okay, I wasn't looking for a shake, and I thought I already had the workouts. I just needed somebody to make me do them. And so I went ahead and got the challenge pack. I said, I'll go all in for 1 month and just see what this all is all about. So I did. I got the 21 Day Fix challenge pack so I could give my mother-in-law her discs back, and got the cups and got my bag of Shakeology. And I got into this group of women who celebrated this thing called non-scale victories. And we became this group that was continually encouraging one another and showing up every day and talking about our struggles and being real and celebrating and focusing on things that had nothing to do with the scale, where I really started to believe that I had value and worth in this in between that I was experiencing, even though my body may not have been exactly where I wanted it to go. In this community and with these tools, I started to really believe that I had value and worth. That had been the prayer of mine, coming from this self-focused and self-absorbed relationship with the mirror and myself. And as often as I talked so negatively to me and overanalyzed the foods I ate and felt shameful or guilty or constantly compared myself to other people, I prayed desperately that the Lord would free me of that, and that it wouldn't be wasted, that it would be for a purpose. And then I get into this group and I felt the chains blowing off of me. And I sat on the couch towards the end of my first group, and I sat there and I cried, because I felt like this was my why. This was the purpose for which I went through all of this, that I could build communities for other people, and that I could equip them with tools to help them to steward their body, that I could teach them truth and repeat the truth to them, that they had value and worth regardless of their shape and size. But because of the value and worth that they've been given, and because of their God-given dignity, that they should steward their body well. And so I did not come out of my first challenge group going, I'm going to build a business, I'm going to grow a team. I'm going to create this thing called stewardship fitness or the well stewarded life. It was not something that happened overnight. It evolved over time, and there's been setbacks and there's been failures, but there's also been so much evolution and growth. So I want to talk a little bit tonight about some of the setbacks for that I've experienced as what I like to call an accidental entrepreneur. So as I said, when I started my Beachbody business, it was with the heart and the hope and the mindset that I would be able to equip other women with the same tools I'd been given, that I would be able to create community so that I could help them experience freedom. And the business became like these Success Club points and rank advancements and all those shiny things. Those became those became distractions actually for me during my first year, because I'm very competitive, very goal oriented, very driven. You give me something, I'm going to take it on 110%. So that's who I'm really talking to here, are those go-getters. That there is nothing wrong with setting goals or growing a business. But when I lost sight of the whole reason I started this to begin with, and started pursuing the things instead of allowing them to be the byproduct of serving people, I started losing a lot of joy in my business. And I had to step back and actually ask myself, why am I an entrepreneur? Why am I growing a business? Because when I started this, I didn't have financial goals. I was just going along, and then I saw potential and I saw shiny things, and I personally got distracted. So how do we find that balance between being an entrepreneur and being a giver and a server? And so these were some of the questions I had to ask myself. So these are, I have 4 questions for you today for you to ask yourself. If you are an accidental entrepreneur, or if you are an entrepreneur who feels like they are losing their joy and focus, I have some questions that you can ask that might change the way that you see things or view things or do things. So one of my two of my absolute favorite, if I never read another personal development book, it would be okay, because I've read these 2, or almost done with the second one, would be The Go-Giver and The Go-Giver Sell More. And if you're on my team, you know I talk a lot about the Go-Givers. And now I started listening on Audible to The Go-Giver Sell More, and I'm just like, I can't take notes fast enough, because it is this beautiful balance of serving and creating a value inside of your business and being an entrepreneur. And they coexist so beautifully together when you become a go-giver instead of a go-getter. So in the Go-Giver Sell More book, they talk about this workflow, this type of process that is the traditional flow that you'll see for a traditional business and sales. So when it comes down to it, an MLM is based off of sales and recruiting as a business. So typically what you would find as a resource for selling and recruiting would be this workflow. You would go and find your prospects. You would qualify them as being whether or not they would be a good prospect for you. Then you would present what you have to offer. Then you would overcome objections. Then you would close the deal, follow up, and then provide customer service. Does that sound familiar at all? I mean, can you even see it in any regular business that has to do with sales? To prospect, qualify, present, overcome objections, close, follow up, provide customer service is the way a lot of businesses run. And I have been, as I was pursuing and chasing after Success Club points or rank advancements, I found myself trying to go find my prospects and present them with opportunities and overcome objections and then try to close the deal or follow up with them when I didn't hear, or give them like a set date. Like, here's the information when I present them with the opportunity. I'm going to follow up with you on this time. And then once I would close the deal or get them in my challenge group or get them on my team, then I would try to provide a service. It's not that that workflow is necessarily wrong or broken. It's just not what I set out to do. I didn't set out to become a seller and a recruiter, yet I want a thriving business because my business presents so much opportunity for for me to reach more people. So how can I grow my business without feeling like I'm losing a piece of me in the process? And I'm only talking from personal experience. I'm not saying that this is a bad way to run your business. I'm just saying it's not the way that I want to run my business. So in the Go Giver Sell More, they give you an alternative. They ask the question, what if instead of doing the traditional way of running a business that is based off of sales and recruiting, what if you instead set out to create value, to touch people's lives, to build networks, to be real, and to stay open? And that to me sounded like a breath of fresh air. That sounded to me like so much pressure lifted off of my shoulders. Because when I set out to do this, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to touch people's lives, and I wanted to create community and build networks. I wanted to tell my story and be real and authentic, and then stay open to change or whatever the Lord gave to me in a way that I could be entrusted with it so that I would steward it well. In a lot of ways, that's how I have tried to run my business. But when I found myself getting distracted by the shiny things, when the focus became, especially when I was shooting for Success Club All-Star, when the focus became the Success Club points, the joy and the fun was lacking for me. So I had to step back and ask the question of, why am I doing this? If this lacks joy, if I don't feel like I'm reaching people or adding value, why do I want to do this? And there is a reason. I did not conclude that I don't want to do this. I just had to clarify for myself my why that we talk about a lot. And my why, I guess, let me get back to my notes. We'll get to the why in a minute. I'm going to go straight to asking you guys the 4 questions that I had to ask myself recently when I was going through this exercise for myself. The first one, if I truly am trying to be a go-giver and not a go-getter, am I trying to give, or am I trying to get? What do my actions actually say? So am I trying to get Success Club points? Am I trying to get more people on my team? Or am I trying to give more value to people and give back to my team? So that was the first question I had to ask. Am I, in this moment, am I trying to give, or am I trying to get something? And if I'm trying to get something, I often found myself feeling really desperate or not listening to what people really were asking for so that I could, quote, close the deal or overcome the objection for the sake of the sale so that I could get the Success Club point. So I don't want to confuse with, if anybody throws up an objection, just be like, oh, that's fine. Like, there may be objections that are just based off of straight up ignorance that maybe you just need to talk a little bit more to explain what it is you're trying to help them with. And then when they understand it, they can decide if it's for them or not, and then listen. So I'm not talking about like if someone throws up an objection that you don't ever try to overcome it by listening and communicating, but are you desperately trying to seek Success Club points at the sacrifice of the person or the relationship for the sale? So that desperation is going to come across in your tone. It's going to come across in your posts. It's going to come across in your conversations, and it's creepy. So and it's kind of pitiful. So that's the first question I had to ask is am I trying to give? Am I constantly looking outward, or am I looking inward of, can I get this person to buy a challenge pack? Or is this person the right person? And does this person need a challenge pack? And I know there are times when it does not feel like there are plenty of fish in the sea, that it feels like maybe that there's nobody out there, wants to come along with us. But I guarantee you, go listen to the Go Giver. When you're so focused outward that you are adding value and consistently finding ways to give back to people, then you are going to create a reputation for yourself where people associate you with body stewardship or health and fitness or whatever it is that your brand is that you're trying to be associated with. The more you give, the more you're going to be associated with it. And then people are going to come to you. It's a longer play than manipulating or working or trying in that very moment. But your network will grow and your influence will expand because you've been creating a culture and an environment and a brand that is service oriented and value adding. So you just have to have the faith that maybe that person doesn't need to be the person to buy your challenge pack right now. For example, I have a friend in Georgia who has a childhood friend that is a Beachbody coach, and it would be like what's it called? Where you it'd be like poaching from another coach. We're childhood friends too. Actually, I've known her almost my whole entire life, but she has equal loyalty to both of us, and she was already working with him. So I'm not going to ask her to jump ship and come hang out with me. Am I going to let her in my community group? Sure. Am I going to, hey, Brooke, am I going to let her, am I going to put her in my free challenges? That's my daughter. Absolutely. Am I going to do whatever I can to serve and add value? I sure am. And you know what just happened today? Her neighbor got invited to one of our free challenges, and is now in my free fitness challenge and is part of the community, and I'm starting to get to talk to her. And that's only because I continued to build a relationship knowing that I was not going to get anything monetarily from Nicole. And that was okay, because my priority wasn't trying to get Nicole to buy something from me. My priority was to build community and to serve somebody. And what do you get from that? You get referrals. So it does pay off. You have to look at it as the more you give and the more you share, that the more people you're going to reach. And so eventually that sale will come at some point. So that's the first question. Am I trying to give or am I trying to get? The second question is, what are the benefits? Brooke, can you please take her? Okay. I need her to not be in here. The second question is, what are the benefits of what I do and why would people want to buy from me? That was a question I had to ask. And because I had to ask, am I trying to sell a feature or something that I'm trying to handle a product? Or am I adding benefit, therefore adding value to people's life? So when the difference between selling a feature is when you're focusing on the thing, versus the benefit is when you're focusing on the person and how whatever your thing is benefits them. So how does it benefit them? Well, you have to think about what it is you're trying to do and what do you have to offer people. So this is for myself what I came up with when I had to answer the question. Hi, Brody, you need to go see Daddy. Sorry, guys, my kids just got back from the park, and. I got it. Okay. You're looking good. But if you don't want people to see your naked butt, you need to go. You just got out of the tub. So when I ask myself, what are the benefits, not the features of what it is that I do, and why would people want to buy from me? What do I have to offer that's unique to me? So I wrote down, if I were to have that 30-second conversation of what it is that I do, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm a Beachbody coach, because that's a feature. That's a a word that describes me. But what do? I help people find freedom from the bondage of insecurity and self-hate. I build communities of transparency, encouragement, and accountability. I do this by equipping people with tools, not rules, to steward their bodies well. And as a result, their health improves, their their minds improve, their weight and inches are lost, and confidence is gained. So when I know who it is that I am and what I have to offer and what it is that I'm trying to create and how that benefits other people, then I can tell people why they would want to come along with me and come along on my journey and hang out with me, and why I can equip them. I'm not going to serve everyone, and that's okay. But I can trust that the people that I am going to serve, I can trust that the Lord can use those opportunities. And I see them as experiences and people that I've been entrusted with. So that next question is, if I am actually trying to give and not just get, then what is it that I'm giving, and how does it benefit the people? Why do they want to come to me? And then to listen, that's the third one. Am I actually listening? So I think the easiest way and the quickest way to add value is to listen to somebody and then respond. We know that what we do is not one size fits all. That's why we ask questions in order to pair people up with workout programs that are best suited for them, where they're at with what they want to accomplish in their time frame. So we listen, we ask questions, and then we don't give a one size fits all answer. We aren't listening with the intention of having something to say right away. We listen and we respond. I've had so many people lately, it's strange, with health problems that I've been talking to. And so it's an opportunity for me to genuinely engage with them and just ask how they're doing and check up on their doctor's appointments and write those down on my calendar and ask them, how did it go? Or how can I be praying for them? And mean that sincerely, sincerely, not knowing if that will ever lead to a sale, but I know that I was able to serve and add value. And maybe one day, if in that moment, they're not the ones that I can help, but they're in a conversation with somebody and they're like, hey, I really would like to lose some weight. Maybe I come to their mind because I took the time to care. And maybe I don't. Something else that, I do care. That's what I would say. Maybe I don't get a referral from them, and that's okay too, because I need to be more in love with the process of helping people get what they want and get what they need than I do about making the sale. And knowing that I can give and not necessarily expect something in return in a way that doesn't mean that I'm attached to that return on investment. So I can give and expect that my influence will grow, my network will grow, my friendships will grow. I can expect that as I put myself out there and give and serve, that things are going to happen. I will grow. I can expect that, but I can also give to a particular person without being attached to having them respond or reciprocate, to actually literally give and care with no strings attached from that to that person. Hope that makes sense. So the last question, and I'll recap these 4 questions. The last question that I had to ask myself is, what story am I telling when I am putting myself out there and sharing? Am I telling a story of desperate salesmanship? Or am I telling a story of my Beachbody products? Am I telling a story of features? Or am I telling a story of me and what I've been through? Something that I just learned recently, I've been through several social media type trainings and branding type trainings. And this one particular approach stuck out to me. And it was looking at the story that I'm trying to tell through the eyes of a character or a plot line. Any good movie has a character with a problem, and then typically there's a guide that comes in to help solve that character's problem. So that guide is coming in to provide the solution and to motivate the character to action. So when I am when I am inside of our Fit Givers community, or inside of or on my public page, and I'm trying to share a story or invite people to come along, what story am I trying to tell? So identifying who my character is, what problems they specifically have. How am I going to know their problems? By actually listening to people and knowing myself to know well enough to know, like, this is what I struggled with. I know there are other people out there that struggled with it. I'm just going to pretend that my inbox is full of people struggling with the same problems, and I'm going to share the solution to that problem. So, remembering that we're the guide in this story. We're not the character. The story is not about us, and the story is not about what we did or what we accomplished. The story is about what we've been through as a guide to help you, the main character. So our characters need to be the hero of our story. And there needs to be clear calls to action for our characters or our clients or our people or our avatars or whatever you want to call them. There needs to be clear ways for those people to connect with us so that we can engage and have conversations and listen and then serve them where they're at. So to recap the 4 questions that we just went over, if you are a accidental entrepreneur or an entrepreneur struggling with getting back to the basics of why you started out and set out to do this business to begin with, I had to ask myself, number 1, are my actions showing that I'm trying to give or that I'm trying to get? Am I out to get Success Club points, or am I out to give value to people and serve them and let the Success Club points be the byproduct of the value that I'm adding? So am I giving or am I trying to get? What are the benefits of what I do and why people would want to buy from me? Am I actually listening to people when we're talking? And what story am I telling when I'm putting myself out there? And as you ask some of these questions, you may validate yourself and say that I'm doing a good job in some areas. And that's good. And maybe some of these questions spur you to kind of internalize a little bit and see ways that you can improve or tweak, or just maybe these things are things you're already doing, but now you're doing them where you're now aware. You're no more, you're doing it with intention now, instead of haphazardly or accidentally. Like I said, I was doing a lot of these things that I wanted to do as far as creating value or touching people's lives or building networks or being authentic and staying open. I was doing a lot of those things, but now I do them with focus, and now I do them with intention and not on accident, I guess you could say. Now I know what I'm setting out to do. So I hope that helps you guys, and that this has been time well spent and that added value to you. We have a couple minutes left. If you guys have any questions for me, I would be happy to answer. Do y'all have any questions? It was that good. Do you have any off-topic questions that aren't even necessarily based off of what we just talked about over the last few minutes? Okay, let me have a question for you. Do you find yourself in a posture of getting or giving? Anybody?
Giving, yes, definitely giving.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. Yeah, right now giving, because I'm just starting, and I'm all you're talking about, I'm realizing is what's going on, and I have to stop myself and say, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm doing. Be the giver, not the getter, and the getter will come later.
Yeah, the get will come because of the give. And that when all we are focused on is getting, it's not fun. It is life sucking. And so I don't know of all the people on the call or who are going to be listening to the call, like how much of this is a lifeline for like our whys are different. Like I did not have to go get a job when I started Beachbody. And some people even some of my close friends are actively trying to replace income for big reasons. But that doesn't change the approach. Even if we set out with financial goals from the beginning, if we are so focused on getting the rank advancement or getting the Success Club points or getting on top of the leadership ladder, those are all things that we should be doing, but they should be byproducts of a culture that is seeking to listen and to give and to add value. And those byproducts are going to create businesses that are thriving and that are growing and that are reaching more people. Why do we want to reach more people? Not to line our pocketbooks, because we have awesome tools, because we have great community, because we have hope for people. That's why we want to reach more. That's why we want to help more. And we are compensated generously for that work, because it is work. It is a job, but it is a work and it is job with a purpose. And so when we get flipped though on what we can take in order to go get the shiny things that grow our business, you stop having fun, and your influence is not going to be as great, and your reputation isn't going to be as renowned for, like, I don't know about you, maybe that should be the fifth question. What do you want to be known for? I guess that's kind of like, what story do you want to tell? So asking, like, what do I want to be known for? And when people think of me, then is that the message that I'm intentionally putting out there? So, and that's going to be unique to each of us. But I think it's so important to know so that you can put it out there. So thanks, everyone. I hope you had fun. Yay! Yay! Okay.
Yay.
Thank you so much for hopping on. And I hope you guys have a great night. And if you have any questions offline, feel free to shoot me a message, and then we can chat later. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.